This is Tenzin Norgay, and this is Edmund Hillary. What did they do? Oh, nothing big really. They just climbed the tallest mountain in the world in 1953. Back then, humanity was just getting around to figuring out the cure for polio, and these two lads were conquering Everest. The news of their success traveled around the world, and Queen Elizabeth, the second of her name, invited John Hunt, the leader of the expedition, and Edmund Hillary to appoint them with knighthood. But not Tenzing Norgay, sadly. Tenzing only received a George Medal, an inferior honor. Why, you ask? Because the Brits never captured Nepal and that hurt their imperialistic ego. What? Just kidding. It was probably because Tenzing doesn't come from one of the Commonwealth nations. But then again, other Nepali nationals have received honorary knight status. Mohan Samsher Rana, Baba Samsher Rana, and a few others. Oh well, a matter for another day perhaps. Anywho, Sir Edmund Hillary didn't just flash his fancy titles.
Job? Mr. Han Job?
Oi,
Jarsol? Mr. Hugh Jarsol?
present.
Mayanus? Mr. Phil Mayanus? Hillary? Mr. Edmund Hillary?
Piss off, you peasant! It's Sir Edmund Hillary to you. No, he didn't do any of that shite. Instead, he returned back to Nepal and supervised the building of Lukla Airport, and the Zealander did it with his own money. Probably not a big deal for him, considering the fact that he later got his face printed on some of the Zealand mullahs. Ching! But all his money couldn't buy him a proper, even, flat land. Dissatisfied with the uneven land where the airport was now built, the clever little bastard came up with a wonderful plan. He threw a grand party, offered Sherpas buckets of chang, and employed them to perform their iconic Sherpa dance, that is, linking together their arms and stomping their way backwards and forwards across the field. Yeah, the runway for miracle of human flight, perfected by drunken dance steps. No, this is all mentioned in his biography, by the way, and it seems kinda plausible. Lukla is still very remote. It would have been incredibly difficult to get a dozer working at Lukla back in the 50s. Now, more than half a century later, the Lukla airport gets very busy during the season, and it's estimated that the airport gets more than 50 flights every day despite it being called one of the most dangerous airports in the world. Now, why is it considered to be one of the most dangerous airports in the world, you ask? Good question, my loyal three viewers. The runway for Lukla Airport is alarmingly 1700 feet long. Now, imagine lining together 8 dhararas. At the end of the dhararas is a stone wall, the other end, steep cliff. Did you imagine that? Good, because that's how the runway for Lukla Airport is. To put that into perspective, the runway for Pokhara Airport is around 8,000 feet and the runway for Tribhuvan International Airport is around 10,000 feet. But that's not the end of it. Since the runway is too short, a part of it slopes uphill to help the plane slow down and to make sure it doesn't go crashing into the big ass stone wall. So during landing, the pilot firstly slows down the plane, but after the touchdown, they apply power again to climb up the slope and then they slow down again. A little complex, but I guess that's the Nepali way, making the best with what little we have. And then there are gigantic mountains all around. That means if a plane starts to approach landing and manages to fuck up somehow, it doesn't get a second chance to go around and attempt landing again. So to sum it all up, an extremely short runway, a stone wall at one end, a steep cliff at the other, huge mountains all around, and I'm not even going to mention the unpredictable weather. So you start landing and fuck up somehow? Dead. You can't control the speed after touchdown? Dead. You are not airborne by the time you reach the end of the runway? Dead. You are a jolly good King Birendra, but your brother wants the throne? Dead. Another looming danger around the airport is the close proximity of planes to helipads. Back in 2019, a plane veered off and crashed into a parked helicopter. Now, the good news is we are building a few more helipads, but the bad news is they are still pretty fucking close to the runway. Foolishness, lack of resources, or pure badassery? You decide. This video was sponsored by no one. No one gave us any money.